This is the 2023 Cadillac CT4 V-Series, and don't get it confused with the V Blackwing version with its twin-turbo six-cylinder engine. This one has a truck engine. Yes, you heard me right. And today we're going to review this car and see exactly what it's like. So there isn't a whole lot that's new for 2023. There's a new paint color called Radiant Red. This one is Wave Blue. So the CT4 is supposedly a subcompact vehicle aimed squarely at the likes of the Audi A3 S3, the BMW M235i Gran Coupe, and then the Mercedes A35. But it kind of sits in, it's kind of a tweener because this one is actually 7.8 inches longer than the A35, and it's 11.4 inches longer than the equivalent A3 or S3. It also has more power than the S3, but we'll get into that later. It's a pretty good looking car too as well. It's obviously a Cadillac badge. It's got the black grille on this V-Series car, fake vents here, which is a bit of a no-no, these really nice LED lights, and then these driving lights here, typical of Cadillac styling these days. So at the back you get this small spoiler as well as some more black treatments below here. Obviously you get V badges a la Blackwing, and then a CT4 badge here on this side. So I like the fact that it has quad exhaust tips at the back. There really is only one exhaust that comes out of this one, and this one is really a fake one. So the CT4 V uses a custom-tailored version of the 2.7-liter four-cylinder turbo engine from the Silverado and GMC pickup trucks, made into a 10-speed automatic. So in this tune, in the V tune, it's got 325 horsepower, 380 foot-pounds of torque in the trucks, and in the premium versions of this car, it's 310 and 350 foot-pounds of torque. So the CT4 V weighs around 3,700 pounds. That's 11.6 pounds per horsepower. Mash the go pedal, you get to 60 in around 4.5 seconds, which is around half a second quicker than the previous luxury version of this car. And then on the highway, fuel economy is pretty good. If you're not heavy with your right foot, expect around 29 miles to the gallon. This 2.7-liter Turbo 4 uses a pretty cool dual Volute Turbo design that improves response and low-end torque, because nobody likes turbo lag. So simply put, a dual volute setup means the turbo can keep exhaust pulses separated before they reach the compressor wheel, minimizing any positive pressure going back into the engine. So this test is wearing the standard 18-inch alloy rims. I think they look pretty good. You can opt for some 19s for an additional cost. Wearing these exceptional Continental tires, they're very good. They're summer tires. They're 235/40s all around. So since this is a rear drive, it gets GM's latest version of its magnetic ride system 4.0, and you get accelerometers on each of the wheels. Now if you opt for the rear wheel drive model, you don't get that because there's no space to fit it. Trunk space is pretty decent, and if you look under here, you do not get a spare wheel because these are run flat tires, but you do get quite a bit of space under this section right here, and then a little bit of space in the side, so not too bad. Then you can put the seats down to poke longer items through. So how much does all this cost? Well, the base price on this car is $46,250, but it has some options, one of which is the $3,700 Super Cruise system, the semi-autonomous driving system that GM offers. And also in that package is a leather-covered steering wheel, an HD surround sound system, and a configurable 12-inch driver display. On top of that, you also get, for $1,500, jet black leather seating, and then for another $1,200, you get the climate package. So add all that together, you get about out the door price of $54,000 and some change. So even though it is actually longer than an Audi A3 S3 by about 11 inches, it's still a little bit tight in here. This is where my seat position is, and I have the seat further forward than most. And there's some leg room, but it is a little cramped, and then the roof line impedes on your headroom as well. You do get quite a nice cup holder, and quality of the materials is pretty good. And you also get some HVAC vents, and then just this one regular old 12-volt power, which is a bit of a miss, and no USBs here in the back of the car. They seem to have forgotten about rear seat passengers in this car. Up front is quite a nice place to be. These chairs are very supportive. You do get adjustable side bolsters. You can't adjust the bottom ones, which is a bit of a miss on a car that's supposed to be quite performance oriented, but the rest of it's nice. And a couple of people have complained about the quality of the materials in this car, but I think it's better put together actually than the S3 that I recently drove. There's none of that sort of scratchy plastic anywhere. I think they've done a really nice job. So inside you get this nice little screen, center screen here. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you've got a Wi-Fi hotspot, etc. You can also change your drive modes at this in this stage here. So if you press the button, you can go snow, ice mode, track mode, which is like full on. You can also go to sport mode, change the engine shift, suspension, steering, brake feel, etc. Engine sound. That's tricky. This four-cylinder sounds a little weird if you put it on full. And then beyond that, here on the steering wheel, you've got this V mode. So once you press V mode, you can customize your settings as well. So I've taken the engine sound down a couple of notches because I think it sounds a little bit funky. It sounds great from the outside, but it doesn't sound great from the inside. Each time you make changes to V mode, etc., it changes the dials in here, so that's regular tour mode. And then it changes the dials. You've got speedo in the middle, tachometer, and then you've got like some engine temp, oil temp, you name it's on there, plus your trip computer. It's nice that Cadillac keep a bunch of physical controls here. These are all your AC, etc. at the top, and then you've got cooled seats, heated seats, lane departure, 360 camera. Got different settings for that. So down here you've got a nice little charger, Wi-Fi charger for the phone. It charges my phone even when it has its case on, which I like, and a physical volume button. And then right here you've got a little spot for a mobile phone. Just fits in there quite nicely. And then ahead of that is a stop-start, the mode button that I showed you earlier, auto hold, and traction control off. And then opening up the center console, you've got 12-volt power, USB power, and a decent amount of room. Okay, let's take this car for a drive. Obviously, we're going to immediately put it into V mode that we set up earlier without the slightly noisy exhaust. It gets a little drony. So the steering weight's up. Putting the steering on full, I didn't like it. It just felt like a little artificial. So I have it on the second one. Everything else is on pretty much max tech, and we left the traction control on, seeing as this is a rear drive car. Very torquey engine. It's just a little bit sort of, this 2.7 litre 4 is a little, what I would describe as being unrefined for a Cadillac. Obviously it's fine in a Silverado and a pickup truck, but I'm finding it just a little, just not quite Cadillac enough. I think it's somewhat noisy at lower speeds. At higher speeds you don't notice it as much, but it does kind of sound a little bit like a wheezy engine. And it isn't, because it's got 325 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, so it definitely goes. Now you'll notice that there was a little kind of, it does make some nice noises, and as I said, I think it sounds better from the outside. Maybe they should have quietened it down a little bit on the inside. All right, so we're going to take it on to some 2-lane faster roads, give it a run for its money. Now 10 speed's pretty good. It doesn't really miss too often. If you have it in tour mode though, it does tend to not start off in the lowest possible ratio. But kick down, off it goes. It's not a bad sports sedan, I must say. I'm suitably impressed with this 4-cylinder. I wasn't expecting it to be, you know, as good as this. And obviously I had driven the premium version, which was a little bit down on power, or certainly down on torque. It's 350 versus 380. It's only down like 15 horsepower, but that makes a difference. What I do like about this one though is, even in its most aggressive suspension mode, it's still compliant. It's not super hard. It's not back-breaking. It rides really well. Now, one of the things, though, which is odd, is you can definitely hear the turbos whistling from very low speeds. I don't know, other cars, other four-cylinder turbos, you don't hear that sort of whistle. I don't know if it's something to do with that Volute Turbo system that they have going. It doesn't seem to have much lag, which is impressive. And steering in the mode that I have it in is pretty direct, and I kind of like the way it feels. Brakes are good too. I have the max attack on the brakes. You don't need to push too hard down on the brakes for them to really stop this car. All right, let's check its passing ability here. Pretty easy. It's definitely got enough performance to have A, a little bit of fun, or quite a lot of fun, and B, to pass slower vehicles on these two-lane roads. But once you get it up to speed, I think it's a better car. I find it a little bit annoying around town. I find I have to turn the radio up to overcome that weird sort of drony engine noise. But once you're on the move, on a road like this, it's good. But I am liking the composure on this car. It is nice. Knowing that these roads are pretty bad, they're pretty bumpy, they're somewhat potholed, this is pretty good. I do like the fact that it makes that out the back as well. And this is quicker than I thought. And once you slow down, then you hear that turbo. I don't know if you can hear it getting picked up on the microphone, but it's like you can just hear that whistle of the turbo. The question with this car is, has Cadillac done enough of a job to pull people away from what the Germans have? They've always struggled with that in the past. I don't know if it's good enough. Weirdly, the S3 is quicker than this, from 0 to 60, and actually kind of feels quicker, even though this one has more power and more torque, although we do know that the Germans never publish the correct numbers, and we know that they're super conservative and always place their numbers lower, so we know that the S3 has a little bit less than 300 horsepower and a little bit less than 300 foot-pounds of torque, but it feels quicker than this. Now, it does have the advantage of a DSG transmission, but that's just programming, and this is a conventional automatic that has pretty quick shifts. So, all right, we'll do a little turnaround there. It does sound good. Attack some of these turns a little bit harder. Now there's no traffic in front of us. I can definitely believe it'll do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. I don't have my V-Box on me today, but it definitely feels quick. We did do a couple of launches, and it hooks up pretty well, even with the traction control off. Very impressed with the brakes too. You could definitely hustle this car. It's fun to drive. And it's one of those cars where you can use like the V mode, the sportiest mode, and not have your teeth rattled out of your head, which is what I found with the S3. I had to change the suspension to its softest mode, and it was a better car for it. This Cadillac has got it right. In fact, there's not really a lot that I don't like about this car. It's been a pretty good test drive. So what do we think? Well, this CT4 V is really a V-Sport, V-Lite version of the CT5 Blackwing, but it's a great car, especially in its rear-wheel drive version that I have here today. It's playful, it's fun, it's actually a really good drive. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time for another video. Out.